Welcome to T-Set Pass, a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast celebrating everything this series has to offer. Today's episode co-stars the amazing Yu-Gi-Oh artist Jamie, also known as Abyss on Twitter. As well as being an amazing artist, she is an amazing duelist, picking up a new deck almost every week, taking some of the most casual archetypes around to a competitive level. Today me and Jamie are talking about the general state of the game. So lay back and relax, and I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did.
Yu-Gi-Oh, the card game.
The beautiful game, I think.
I would agree. I would honestly agree that this game is quite okay, so this is air quote hot take. I think Yu-Gi-Oh is pretty perfect, all things considered. There's issues, right? Like, but if I look at like just the card game and how it's been for a long time, maybe it's my time playing the game that's made me numb to issues, but when you understand the game, I have not had like a gripe in so long. Like, I have not genuinely sat down and been like, I am not having fun playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Someone can play stun against me. I'm like, okay, I've dealt with this enough. I am mentally prepared. I have built my deck properly. I don't care. We're doing this.
No, 100%. I think the properly is the key word in that sentence. I think if you know what you're doing, and not like you have to be great, but if you're not going in blind, you vaguely know what kind of decks you're going to go against. If you know you're going to fight cash, you bring stuff for cash. You know what I mean? You don't just go in with your whatever, your triple. I was going to say trap trick, so that would be fine. You don't go with your triple cyber strike structure deck and just pray for it.
People will always look at the game and be like, dang, your combo is going for 10 minutes. This game sucks because I'm not going to be able to play after you play for 10 minutes. Or, dang, that hand trap stopped me. That sucks. I don't get a chance to play this game even when I go first. Or, dang, you're playing stun. Guess I needed a main deck back row removal. And it's just like, I understand those. I had all of these viewpoints at once in my life. I said I wanted hand traps to be banned. That is not correct. I will tell you now. The game has been crafted in a way so where when you know properly how to navigate things, or when you know to play around certain things, it becomes so much easier. Sometimes things will just stop you, and that sucks. But that is, in essence, luck of the card game. Your opponent might have played around like what you're doing better, like they might have held Ash for specifically the effect later in your combo or something. But so I'm gonna bring up a specific deck now just for the sake of it. I really like Nordics. That deck is bad. There is no way around it. That deck is not particularly good because Golveg, if you do anything to our Link 1, we will do nothing because we will not make a synchro monster. Because if we have committed to a Golveg, it means we didn't have the ability to make a synchro monster without it. So you want to stop that. Now, me being the person using this deck, I know that. I build it around it. I play 3 copies of Eagle Booster because it makes my card immune to stuff. I play a copy of Engage to search Eagle Booster, which makes it immune. I play Link into the Vrain so I can do it and you can't interact with it in any way, shape, or form. You know, I'll play Called By, I'll play Millenniumize Restricted and Instant Fusion, like all of these different things and prosperities to dig for them. But that's because I'm aware of how it is. And even then, I'm gonna have to be like, well, what if I'm going second? I'm kind of just doomed, aren't I? Well, it's like, no, because you think about these things. And then one of the things that a lot of beginners completely overlook is the side deck. I cannot tell you how long I played this game before I actually built a side deck and like thought about it. Like, knowing that you can lose game 1, you can get swamped and just be like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with now, and I have planned according to the weaknesses of my deck or the dependencies of the format, and I can now play into that better. It's great. It's great because it puts everyone on that even footing, even if you get annihilated.
I think that is a thing that comes from that sort of casual anime fan. Side decking is like 90% of the war sometimes in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's not a thing that anyone talks about as much because you talk about what archetypes out, you talk about what does the archetype do. It's like, yeah, but what about the side deck? And the side deck is hard because the side deck changes every event. The side deck changes what you swap in and out per match, per game within a match. You want to like going first, going second. Is your deck?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like it's so complicated, and I love it. You know, I love the side. I think growing to love the side deck is when you start to appreciate Yu-Gi-Oh more as a game in general.
Absolutely.
I don't think every card game has side decks. I know some don't, but I think Yu-Gi-Oh would be a much worse game without the side deck. But I think you talked about main decking spell trap removal. I do find it funny that instead of rules, because obviously back in the day we tended to run a bit more spell trap removal just because the game was slower and Mirror Force was like at the end of the game sometimes if you got hit by it. Yeah. And also not everybody had it because it was expensive. So if you couldn't afford Mirror Force, well, the next best thing is the Mystical Space Typhoon to get rid of their Mirror Force.
I'm gonna two-pronged spark you real quick.
No.
Let me go -2.
Hey, it's the advantage of winning the game. I think that's worth the faith. But it's interesting how Konami have influenced play without changing the rules. And I'm thinking about when they've printed things like Nib. Did you watch the video when they launched Nib? I remember.
I did.
The guy, I can't remember his name. He explained why the thought process behind Nib, and they were like, well, we labbed it out and we talked amongst ourselves and was the testers, and we felt like after 5 special summons, that's probably when things are going a bit too crazy. So that's why we put 5 on Nib, so that if they're going 4, if they stop on 4, they've probably not built an unbreakable board. And I think that's like really. They're not wrong. I think like there's a reason why playing under Nib sometimes means that you throw the game because you've not overextended enough because you're scared of Nib. And things like Mystic Mine. Mystic Mine kills you if you've got nothing but monsters.
Yeah,
if you
Mystic
have some
Mine.
Nice spell trap removal, it's like Cyclone, you're fine. And that made me just think, is like, do Konami want people to be playing MST in main again? And I think in their heart, they want a little bit of battle trap, they want a little bit of removal, they want some monster effects, they want some field spells. They want, in their heart, a mix of all the kinds of cards that they've given us. And they want to punish us for being weird with our deck building in terms of like nothing but gas all the time. Who needs spell traps when my monsters are better than spell traps? I can run nothing but good you know what I mean? They want to punish that by saying, no, Mystic Mind says that you need to run some spell trap removal at least in your side deck, if not your main. And I think that's interesting that they've not changed the rules at all, but they have changed the way we deck build by maybe 1 single card or 2 cards combined.
So something I actually really like about Nibiru, as you're mentioning, is like it's changed how we build decks. Not only has it changed how we built decks in the sense of like, okay, we want to be able to either stop Nibiru, be able to summon something that stops Nibiru before summon 5, or on summon 5 on occasion, or we will just play away from Nibiru, especially if we think our opponent has it in a format where it would be common. But it has lent itself into a way where now in the format we will unironically have decks that just have back row in them. Either we are intentionally playing back row, we have searchable back row, like it is just particularly good in our deck. We have spell traps in almost every single deck right now that are worth playing. And this is, it's just one of those things where you can look at something like Rocks, right, where it's like 100% monsters for consistency's sake, all that thing, and you can just go, okay, but then you lose to Dark Ruler, you lose to Nibiru, well, if you don't get Guardian exactly anyway, but then you think about it and you're like, you know, I'm really getting messed up by these cards exactly, how do I deal with that? And as someone that plays a different deck every single week and really likes thinking about exactly what makes me lose, I go, no one's playing actual Koikimaru and Rocks. They're playing like Guardian. So what if I use my search for a Koikimaru card better, and now I'm on a build that specifically facilitates having specifically a counter trap for spell traps in the back row, because it's like, okay, please, I am begging you to Dark Ruler my monster only board when I now have 1 or 2 spell trap negates that are spell traps. It's just like, I like how the game has changed for that. I have had to make that decision because of cards like Nibiru and because of just how Konami has shifted it. And especially this format with stuff like Kaijus, it's just like I am not putting all of my resources into 1-2 cards when the first thing I'm getting is a Lava Golem saying, okay, you went -4 for a Lava Golem. It's just like, damn. What am I going to do? Oh, hey, at least I have a set Book of Moon because it's relevant in this format, so that can potentially do something.
I love the book's relevant. I don't know how long this will last, but it's made every deck I've played fun, because when you get Veiled, not that it happens a lot, but you know it happens, you can book yourself, you can book them, you can book in the battle phase, you can book in the main phase. Like, it's because it's such a fun card, and it never feels bullshit. It always feels fair. Like, you're booking defensively or booking offensively, but it's never like ridiculous. You're not evenly matching them. You're like, it's a skill card. You can use book very skillfully, or you can not. And you're normally not that punished for not using it skillfully. You can like blow the book and then attack over something, or do something mid, but you can save that book and use it at a very, very good time normally if you got the skill.
Absolutely.
Not I do, but you know, I've done it before, randomly at chance. But what do you think of the next thing for the game? It's been a while.
Okay.
What, 2017 was Lynx? 2016?
So we'll start with that, because you mentioned something I have a lot to say about, but I'll get to that later. So the next thing for the game, I do not mean this with anything other than honesty. They better not add anything to this game. I think if we stagnate for a long time, that is the best thing that can happen. If they need to like rework things, sure, like make retrains of cards like the Agitos and stuff. Like, do that, bring back old things, I don't care. Just keep supporting what you have, make new decks. What they're doing with the lore is, in my opinion, like essentially my Master Rule 6, where they are intentionally building sets around having a mainline story that is not the anime. Now, before, we've seen this in Dual Terminal and stuff like that, but even then, like, they're trying to bring it back even now by releasing the Dual Terminal boxes. They didn't do very well, so they probably won't have as good a chance as they will to continue doing them, but them having like an intentional focus on story, maybe it's because Vanguard exists and they focus on stories, and Magic focuses on stories, especially when they go for an archetype like Sky Strikers and say, hey, we're gonna make a whole manga about this archetype. When I see that, that is what I think is the next stage for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is creating its own lore and identity in that sense. I don't think mechanically we're gonna get pretty much anything.
I can't imagine us not getting anything ever. You know what I mean? I can't imagine that this is it. I think for the sake of product and the sake of the beautiful machine that is capitalism, we will get something eventually. It's a matter of when, not if. For me, anyway. But I don't know what. I don't know what the if is. You know, like I think skills feels like the most likely, except for the fact they've already done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they release skills in real Yu-Gi-Oh!, then speed duels kind of become entirely irrelevant. And those products, they don't seem to have. They don't want to kill them yet. You know what I mean? They keep making new ones, so they're not unhappy with how whatever they're doing with Speed Duel is going. So that's going to keep going for a bit. Maybe it will never get to 5Ds because it's looped back to Battle City now anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't know what kind of. I want a red card. I don't care. I will do anything. I will destroy this game. I want a red. Link should have been red.
Yes, I'll agree. I'll agree.
They should have been the shade of red of that map behind me. They should have been
I can
blood
agree.
red. This DS. I want that.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. The second we get a card that looks like this is the day I'm happy. But I will agree on a few things here. Skills probably won't get introduced to the game. However, I can definitely see them using speed duels as a segue to do so, testing the waters, so to speak. Like, they've been doing it with not just speed duels, they've been doing it with Duel Links, which I suppose is speed duels in enough sense, but even that's been progressing beyond 5Ds to the point where we're link summoning. So with exactly Duel Links as an example, I think they are genuinely testing the waters to bring skills to Yu-Gi-Oh! They just need to know what they can and can't do. Like, I know that there have been plenty where they are just like, oh, this creates a lot of problems, because a lot of them are gimmicky. And like, I get rid of my entire hand to summon 3 Gate Guardians and put a Gate Guardian in my hand. It's like, wow, that's, yeah, you summon Gate Guardian and do nothing else. I'm proud of you. That's gimmicky. But I don't see stuff like that meshing well with the actual game. As for actual cards, my brain goes, oh, hey, we have Synchros. What if we did that in reverse? But then I remember, we have Verse Arctics. We have a deck that performs that. There are so many things I want to exist, but I just see that's not going to happen. Maybe we get a second type of extra deck entirely, which sounds wild, right? Maybe some crazy garbage like that happens.
What about an extra deck, but it's not monsters, it's sort of spell traps? So maybe, let's say a dark hole, an accessible dark hole you've always got, but you do it by tributing 2 monsters. So you've always got access to that dark hole. They call it like a I don't know, like a fusion spell or something. And we go, I've paid the cost, I now activate it from my spell extra deck. It's gone, 1 use.
Yeah.
But it's whenever I need it.
Right.
I change deck building considerably, but it wouldn't change the game considerably, because it's no different than giving us an archetypal of something that we've searched it now. But it would give something to the archetypes that can't search things, the archetypes that don't have board breakers or equalizers or whatever. It would mean maybe little Timmy only has to buy 1 copy of the evenly matched fusion extra deck spell, rather than have his 3 in the main. I don't
imagine the removal of a main deck, a side deck, in favor of like a compartmentalized side deck. Like, I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I'm not saying that's a good idea.
I don't think they would do it,
spitball.
But it is interesting. Like, that's the thing is, like you said with Verse Arctics, there's loads of things that would change the entire game, but instead of being rules, they're decks. Like, my brain is struggling to think, but there's so many, like, Gradors that are equipping monsters and taking them. That could be a whole proper thing. Obviously, the Snatch Steal has already been a thing, but keywords, I don't think they'll do. I think we're too far for keywords. I think if you're going to do keywords,
we are way too far.
They would have added keywords when they did Rush.
Yeah.
If Rush had keywords, I would think we would move to keywords. But as Rush has also not got keywords, I don't think we'll ever go there. And I don't want to go there. I hate keywords. I like that you can read a card and understand what's happening because you read that card. I never get really why people find that confusing. I guess not reading it makes it confusing, but like, if you read a Yu-Gi-Oh card, you tend to kind of know what's happening, I feel. It's only very niche stuff like, oh, you can't chain to Honest because it's in the damage step, so...
Yeah,
like,
that kind of stuff feels silly.
That doesn't come up that often. Like, those are the reason that we don't know those rulings off by heart is because those rulings come up once in every 100 duels. If they were every duel, we'd know how they work.
Yeah, seriously. It's just... Damage step rulings, so thankfully I've been able to mostly familiarize myself with rulings. There's a lot of stuff I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, off the top of my head, hey, if I activate the effects of a continuous card as it's activated, does it fall off? I don't think it does, but it might. You know, it's just like I can ask a question like that off the top of my head where I'm like, hey, I would love a judge right now. Yeah. But knowing a lot of the stuff about the damage step, or being like, hey, is there only one instance where I can do things in the damage step? Like, I can let my opponent's Honest resolve, and I'm like, okay, now I would like to use my Avermax effect. You know, like, just mess with them. I don't know if you can do that, but there's a lot of things I wish I could just conjure a judge's brain and put it in a mind for.
No, exactly. I had a question yesterday that felt so stupid to ask, but it's like,
I
was in a speed duel. They had Ojama's black, green, and yellow on their field. And they activated Ojama Delta Hurricane.
Right.
I would like to bounce the black so that you do not have black, green, and yellow on the field anymore. Does that mean that Ojama Delta Hurricane, which needs Ojama's black, green, and yellow on the field, no longer resolves? Or does it because you played it, because the conditions were right for you to play it, that you now get... That was my question. I can't even remember what the answer was, but like...
That card specifically, the specific text on the card is you can only activate this card if you control these 3. If it were to say, when you control yellow, black, and green, destroy all cards on the field, it would change.
Yeah. And a lot of those kind of questions are because you don't have the card physically in sight. Because obviously I do those remote because I'm doing those on lives. So I can't actually like pick up and read like his card. So I'm always
right.
Does that feel right? Is that, I'm like, if I get rid of one, because is that okay? But like, no, it's
right.
But
live duels are rough. I cannot get behind them because I want to pick up and read people's cards.
There's like new things happening, and it's crazy that maybe in a time where we've got no anime, so we've got nothing driving the idea of the content, that we've still got so much more to talk about because we're doing the card lore. They're bringing stuff back. I had an idea, what I thought would be fun, which is they're not going to do now because this new pack, Cyber, whatever it is, Psystorm Access or something, what was it called?
Something to that effect. I believe you have it right.
Something like that. This is like the first one of this product set, isn't it? Because they do it in like waves of 12 or whatever. I kind of thought, because we've got no anime, they love their nostalgia. Make Legend of Blue Eyes, but retrain every single card in it. So every single card is a new card, except your Blue Eyes and Dark Magician, whatever you want, Red Eyes too. But every single card in it, even your Trent, you know, like your every single card. In the same way, like look at what we did for Ishizu. Ishizu, every card from Legend of Blue Eyes. Twin Pronged Attack is now Super Twin Pronged Attack. You tribute one monster and you blow up any 2 cards. It's now an Icarus generic. Like you've got
oh my god, yeah. Icarus generic is terrifying.
Yeah,
dude.
it's Icarus generic and it's once per duel, so it's okay. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like every card in the pack is either you do it 2 ways. You make everything generic in that whole pack, so that you could just do a sealed format of this Neo Legend of Blue Eyes, or you divide everything into the 3 archetypes of Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, and Dark Magician. You've got Dark Magician Trent, and Dark Magician Trent adds a Magician's Souls. You know what I mean? Like, everything...
Just make the entire pack, like, Trent of Blue Eyes and stuff. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I summon a Red Skullbird Magician. It's like, I'm sorry.
Do you mean Red Eyes Skullbird? My new Red Eyes support? Yeah, there you go. Solved it. They made it's like a whole pack where every single monster you pick it up, you're like, oh, I remember this guy. But if you've never played the game before, you don't pick it up and go, this is a terrible tree. Go, wow, this tree's a great extender, because you're just reading the effect. Because every card in there is Neo and New. Everyone's Neo Trent, or Neo Skull Red Bird, or Urabi, or whatever the boys are.
Urabi, oh my god, little D, get in here.
Mystic Mine Wastelands.
Oh no, don't make Wastelands a Mystic Mine. No, please, God.
No, don't worry, because Yami, or whatever it's called, the dark one, whatever it's called.
The dark one.
Yeah, Yami.
Better not be good, because it'd be way too...
Yami gives you the full Umi control. It gives you Umi, and it gives you the Tornado Wall, and power creep it to the 9s, and be like, it's so powerful that essentially everybody has to start the game over on Legend of Blue Eyes 2. So that you
really
can only
funny,
have...
actually. Ash Blossom is still getting played, though, sorry.
Trent's
that's not
Ash Blossom.
leaving.
Trent is Ash Blossom and Ghost Mansion.
Oh my god!
And he's got feet in the pit.
No! No, dude.
Trent has become the chase card instantly.
Oh. Yeah, he's 2 hand traps in 1, and he's got feet.
Yeah, yeah. You do it. You do that Super Legend of Blue Eyes, and you release that alongside support to the crack, starter deck Yugi and Kaiba again.
Oh my god.
Yeah, every card is a retrain. There's not a single reprint other than the normal.
I want to see it retrained to Lajin right now.
Everything. Retrain Lajin, make him like a Guido. Like, make him like bounce 3 dragons, summon 2 dragons from the graveyard, whatever. It's some crazy shit.
If you summon new Lajin, he just gets your new version of the lamp from deck. The new version of the lamp just lets you do, like, it lets you make a wish and get any card in your deck. Oh my god.
Jin Search of Imperial Order.
What if it was just like, oh yeah, you get 3 genie wishes. Go ahead and banish a lot of Jin from your deck or on your field, and then you just get to search your deck for anything.
You get 3 wishes. It's the 3 effects of Triple Tactics.
No!
You get 1 per turn.
That's fair. I like that conceptually a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was saying it as a joke, but the more we get into it, that one's fun.
That one's fun. See, I think that you could just do that with every card, and that way we don't have to like think of new cards. We just have to look at what's there and be like, okay, so we got a bunch of weird trees. How do these? What's Firegrass gonna do? Okay, so maybe Firegrass could burn. Like, you know, like you think about it and it's like, well, then which of these cards feel more Red Eyes, more Blue Eyes, or more Dark Magician? It's like, where do you see yourself? There are 2 wolves inside you. There are 3 wolves inside you. One has got Red Eyes, one has got Blue Eyes, and one is a Dark Magician.
There are only a few wolves inside of you. They are all
Trent.
Yeah. No! Oh my god, Trent. God damn it.
Thank you for listening to this conversation. There'll be more from Miss Abyss very shortly. Please check out her work on Twitter, which I will link in the bio below. Until next week, where I should be joined by my boy Ghost Galaxy Cosplay from TikTok. Thank you very much for listening. If you could please leave a 5-star review, it would make all the difference.